sure if I was gonna pull my cleats out, but yeah, I think I might. It's a bit icy.
Unfazed by the icy hill and gloomy fog, I was determined to get out and visit the White Mud Valley. I sat down in the grass to put my cleats on. A dog barked somewhere in the neighborhood. The valley awaits, but there was something that had set off the neighborhood dog.
I haven't even gone into the valley, but there's a coyote over there, trotting around.
Time to get moving.
See how full of ice that is. It is a little treacherous. And it's rippled too, just like the ice at the top.
Some frosty buds were starting to form when the days were a bit warmer.
It is really full of water today.
The warmer temperatures had the water flowing over the ice, making it a little wider than it should.
I seriously can't get over how wide that is. That is pretty amazing.
These frosty thistles looked like they had been blowing in the wind when they froze. And I found an interesting leaf that had
Melted into the snow.
leaving a perfect outline.
In front of that rock is a snowshoe hare. It's a gigantic finger. It's a finger smaller. They're around there. Hard to see, of course, because it's in between all the branches.
The squirrels were much easier to see. It was a beautifully quiet morning.
Lots of signs of rabbits around. Bark missing. I saw another rabbit, but I was busy messing with some garbage, so I couldn't get a shot of him. Oh, little squirrel freaking out.
There were lots of signs of hungry rabbits along the trail. I had crouched down to look at something when two squirrels that were following each other came along and were shocked to see a human looking at them. They found a safe path to cross the trail and continued on.
I always find it interesting that when I'm by myself, I end up seeing a lot more small animals. And I assume that's because I'm not talking while I go. Because obviously I've got no one to talk to. But yeah, it's almost like I become invisible, and then the animals don't realize that there's a person around, so then they come out. But those two little squirrels, they were kind of, one was chasing after the other. Not really even chasing, but just following. And then they came up, and then they suddenly saw me and stopped in their tracks. It was so cute.
I continued to enjoy the foggy views along the creek.
Just of note, that rock has not fallen yet.
The tea-colored water flowed, and I noticed ice floating on top. Woodpeckers rattled their springtime mating calls, but I was intrigued by the delicate sound of the ice brushing the edges of the creek. It was reminiscent of a slightly icy snowfall. The curling bark of this dying river alder created some interesting textures. It was here that I realized I was not alone. I heard the brushing of twigs from something in the forest. I began to move more slowly and even more quietly. Sometimes I purposely moved to create more noise, to see if I could make the animal move, and then would stop to listen.
I think there were a couple of them. I'm assuming maybe deer?
That noise was not me, but it was nearby. The pitch of the wood that had cracked told me that it was much larger than a deer.
Sounds pretty large though.
I continued to listen and strained to see through the dense bushes. Even without their leaves, it was impossible to see through them.
I almost wonder if they are moose.
It was a long few minutes of staying as still as possible, and it almost felt like a game of chess, moving a pawn forward to see what movements could be drawn out of the opponent. Finally, I would get my answer.
They are moose. There's gotta be two of them at least. I just saw the back of one. I'm going to get up here. Let's see if I can get a slightly better look.
I carefully stepped onto the fallen log for a slightly better vantage point.
That is the first time that I've ever seen moose in the Creek Valley. I've always heard from other people that they have seen moose, and I've never really quite believed it. And I felt like that the city was kind of too closed in around, but it seems like this area has a good amount of space. You can see them over in the shadows there. See him looking up, sniffing. Oh, that is so cute.
I pulled out my other camera to have a better look. I could see his big, bulbous nose as he resumed browsing.
Young male. Can't see the other one though.
The other one was a female, visible as she passed by the male.
That was amazing though. Like I said, I've never seen moose in the valley before, and that was really amazing. Oh. The cold is starting to press in on me, the dampness, and I should probably put my mitts on, thicker mitts, and my fingers would warm up. But I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to head back and see if maybe I can get a little bit more footage of the two moose. But one was looking like a young male, and then the other I'm assuming would be a female. But that was very, very cool. Very cool. That fog is getting thicker. It's starting to look almost spooky. Okay, yeah, that has gotten a lot thicker. It's no wonder it's starting to feel a little cold. Not sure you can see it, but a couple of moose hairs there. Long hairs. They definitely have walked down this trail. Along with some deer, or off to the right somewhere around that big pine there. They're somewhere off that way.
I climbed onto another hill, but I wasn't able to spot the moose again. I'm not sure who won this little chess match, but I went home happy.
Quite sure you can see the moose tracks right there. A bit icy, so it's a bit old, day or two for sure, but moose nevertheless. It's beautiful. Can't even see the houses on the ridge. Looks like I'm out in the middle of nowhere, but in the middle of Edmonton.
As always, thanks for watching.